Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, and we got an old Alvin Bragg video that's just resurfaced, and wait until you see what it reveals about this guy. Also, we got the Democrat DA's office going into full panic mode as the Congressional Oversight Committee begins to subpoena those involved in this ridiculous sham of an indictment. All that and even more amazing news for President Trump coming up. The Soros-backed Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg is once again demonstrating that he's not in the least interested in law and justice, but rather is trying to hide and evade from any federal scrutiny whatsoever. If you don't know, House Judiciary Oversight Chairman Jim Jordan of Ohio has issued a subpoena to Mark Pomerantz. Now, Pomerantz is an ultra-leftist prosecutor in Manhattan who was part of the DA's office that's, of course, now trying to take down Trump. He ended up resigning after Alvin Bragg took over as district attorney back in January of 2022 because Bragg originally looked at the case that Pomerantz put together against Trump and threw it away. He refused to go with it. And Pomerantz resigned in disgust and launched a very public campaign, including publishing a critical book and doing a 60 Minutes interview that was all designed to pressure Bragg into renouncing that decision and get back to the business of indicting Trump. And of course it worked. Bragg caved. And so Jim Jordan is smelling a rat here, or a Democrat, we might say. He sensed that this was smelling a lot like some political motivation in weaponizing the law. So you need to come on in and have a little chat with the Judicial Oversight Committee. Well, frankly, to everyone's shock, Alvin Bragg, the Manhattan DA, who was yet to even remotely charge President Trump with a federal crime, this guy, Bragg, is now officially suing Jim Jordan in an effort to prevent him from cross-examining Pomerantz. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Bragg is accusing Jordan of waging an intimidation campaign against the Trump indictment. I mean, seriously, what do you say to, how is this not an admission that Bragg has no case against Trump? How is this not an obvious admission that he doesn't want any federal scrutiny into what this Manhattan DA's office is doing here? Here's Jim Jordan's reaction to this absurdity.
They're obstructing our investigation, Brett. We have a constitutional duty to get to the facts, particularly when you have a district attorney interfering with the most important election we have, which is the election of the commander-in-chief, the president of the United States. And understand what happened here. Alvin Bragg used federal funds to indict a former president for no crime. And then when we ask questions about it, when we want to investigate, he takes us to court. And he takes us to court because we want to talk to someone who left the DA's office a year ago, who went out and wrote a book on this very subject, did all kinds of interviews, was pushing to go after President Trump before he got there, while he got there, when he left, he wrote a book about it, and we're not allowed to talk to him to do our duty. They're obstructing our constitutional duty to do oversight.
Here's my favorite senator, Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana, responding to this Alvin Bragg stunt as only Senator Kennedy can.
Well, what's your reaction to this news this afternoon? What do you think of it?
Pre-terminating the issue of whether Mr. Bragg should be called before Congress, I've watched Mr. Bragg. It's clear he is not exactly Oliver Wendell Scalia. My guess is he is scared to come before Congress. I watched Mr. Bragg's press conference after he announced his indictment. He was not impressive. I have read his indictment. Legal scholars much more qualified than I have criticized it as being an inferior document. I read it. It looked to me like, as a legal product, someone knocked over a urine sample. My guess is Mr. Bragg will not try this lawsuit himself. A good criminal defense attorney, based on what I've seen so far, will take his head off. So he doesn't want to be naked and alone, not literally, but figuratively, in front of a congressional committee having to answer tough questions. That's my assessment.
I've read this indictment, and it looks to me like someone knocked over a urine sample. I love this man. Senator Kennedy, the pride and joy of the great state of Louisiana. And speaking of a urine sample, an old Alvin Bragg video from a couple of years back has made its way back into the limelight, and it's very revealing as to who this guy really is. This is from when he was running for Manhattan DA. Take a look at what this guy had to say.
Whoever has this job, are they going to convict Donald Trump?
I'm the candidate in the race who has the experience with Donald Trump. I was the chief deputy in the attorney general's office. We sued the Trump administration over 100 times for the Muslim travel ban, for family separation at the border, for shenanigans with the census. So I know how to litigate with him. I also led the team that did the Trump Foundation case. So I'm ready to go wherever the facts take me and to inherit that case. And I think, it'd be hard to argue with the fact that that'd be the most important, most high profile case. And I've seen him up front and seen the lawlessness that he can do.
And you believe it should happen?
I believe we have to hold him accountable. So yeah, you are right. We got two standards of justice. Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, being a rich old white man has allowed you to evade accountability in Manhattan. That includes Trump and his children. So I've seen a pattern of lawlessness over 20 years. And so I'm inclined to believe all I see in the public domain and know that and believe that there's a path forward there to make a case.
A huge shout out to the Twitter handle @MaysMoore for posting that old video. So you can see, this guy is as nauseating as it gets. He bragged that he sued the Trump administration over 100 times. He likened President Trump to convicted rapists like Epstein and Weinstein. He had the gall to inject race into all of this. This notion that rich old white men needed to be prosecuted more? How is racist filth like that allowed in a supposedly just and democratic society? Just imagine making that same absurd claim referring to any other race other than white. He would have been automatically disqualified from the race. So this is the guy who's running away and hiding from federal oversight. He can use federal money to indict Trump, but then he refuses to be held accountable for how he used that money. Gang, this is all you really need to know about the sorry excuse of a DA, a pathetic partisan mess. Now, ironically, things just keep getting better for Trump. I said on one of yesterday's videos, it's like this indictment has been a godsend. Wait until you hear the latest good news for number 45. It's awesome. But first, gang, I'm so proud to share with you the title of my brand new guidebook that'll be launched next week. You ready for this? Here it is, gang. 5 steps to escape the Great Reset with your family and sanity intact. You're going to love this, gang. This guidebook will help you and your family destroy woke culture and build a new conservative world so together we can escape the Great Reset of woke fanatics. In this detailed guide, I have outlined the top methods patriots are using to escape the Great Reset, insights into the real failure behind the globalist agendas, how to build a life that isn't reliant on woke corporations or institutions, and even how you can read the hidden truth of daily news on the websites I use from my own research. It's absolutely awesome. I'm so excited to share this project with you. So many of you have reached out asking when it'll be available, and I promise you'll be able to access it soon. Next week, I'll give you all the info, so stay tuned. President Trump just picked up a huge endorsement for Florida Congressman Corey Mills.
I think that we need someone who has a proven track record in foreign policy. And President Trump, whether it was a replacement of NAFTA with USMCA, whether it was the Abrams Accord, whether it was the China Phase 1 deal for holding adversaries accountable, the moving of our embassy to Jerusalem, the balancing of our relationships and building of adversaries, the holding accountable of NATO for people like Germany, France, and Italy who were paying less than their share. I think that it's hard to argue the fact that people may not like the tweets, but from a foreign policy perspective, knowing that's intrinsically linked to domestic policy, President Trump has a proven track record.
Now, Mills is but the latest of the growing number of Florida congressmen to endorse President Trump, and those endorsements just keep racking up big time. Representative Elise Stefanik, she was one of the first to endorse Trump even before he announced. Republican firebrand Matt Gaetz, he's given his full endorsement. Marjorie Taylor Greene gave her full endorsement right after Trump announced his candidacy. Carrie Lake, of course, has given her endorsement of Trump. But that's all just the tip of the iceberg. The likes of Troy Nehls of Texas, Ronnie Jackson of Texas, Paul Gosar of Arizona, Clay Higgins of Louisiana, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, Texas Agriculture Commissioner Sid Miller, Representative Wesley Hunt, a newly elected congressman from Texas. They've all given their full and formal endorsements of President Trump. Max Miller of Ohio. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And we're even seeing senators getting into the mix now. Alabama's Tommy Tuberville has given Trump his full endorsement. Of course, South Carolina's Lindsey Graham, but who cares about that? Now, this is huge because no one even comes close to the number of endorsements that Trump has already racked up. Ron DeSantis doesn't even come close at this point. And the sham of an indictment has only served to further consolidate the party around Trump, all but guaranteeing his nomination. So we'll obviously be keeping a very close eye on how things develop, both with the congressional subpoenas and the continued weaponization of the law coming out of this corrupt Manhattan DA's office, all as it appears to be inordinately benefiting the one and only Donald J. Trump. As always, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. You'll definitely want to check out my latest video on Vladimir Putin's popularity surging in the United States. All his Christian nationalism is on the rise. You're not going to want to miss this. So make sure to click on the link and I'll see you over there. God bless.